Hey, it's me, the DBB, and I'm back with another episode. And today's episode is all about how to let go of control and how to trust yourself. This episode is for anybody who feels like they're spiraling out in their brain. There's constant battles between their ears. They overthink everything. They overanalyze. They micromanage. They people please. They put every scenario they possibly can in their brain until they're so exhausted they just want to go to sleep. The people who are mentally exhausted, really, this episode could really be just for about any person on the planet because, in some degree, all of us have a need for control. And we might not see it that way, but it's actually a part of being a human being. It's part of psychology, it's part of our nervous system. And I actually do have some notes today. I'm going to point and shoot a lot of it, but I do have some stuff to keep me on track because I did pull some actual science, I guess, behind it, and I never like to mess that up. So, if you are somebody who is looking to stop the overthinking, stop the spiraling, stop the analyzing, the people pleasing, the anxiety, you're always anxious, wondering what's going to come next, and you live in a constant state of fear, this episode is for you. If you're somebody who feels like you don't trust yourself, somebody that always questions themselves, decisions, if they're doing the right thing, this episode can also be for you. I am going to have another episode that's fully about learning to trust yourself and how to make your own decisions. But this one's just going to kind of be pieces of that that'll lead into the next episode that is going to be trusting yourself and your decisions. So, with that being said, if you know anybody in your life who struggles with these things, you want to help them, you know they're going through hard times and anxiety is just crippling them, or they're going through some things where maybe they need to make a decision and learn to trust themselves, I would encourage you to share this episode with them throughout while you listen if you find any value in what you hear. Everything I say, my goal, if this is your first episode, is that one person is helped by something I say on these. And it's a passion project. I absolutely love doing this. I don't make money. I just genuinely want to help people by sharing experiences that I've had that might be able to relate and make you not feel alone. Because everything we go through in life, I believe, is for a reason and it's what you can grow from. It makes you better. A lot of the worst things in my life are the things that have made me become a better version of myself. So, with that being said, let's jump into it. The need for control is just so primal, right? If you think about going all the way back to being cavemen and all that, like we all have had nervous systems since the beginning of time. Everything with a spine has a nervous system, right? And our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe. They're designed to protect you from danger. They're designed to constantly be scanning your environment for what out there can potentially hurt us, what out there is a threat to our existence. And unfortunately, nervous systems cannot tell the difference between spilling coffee on your lap or being chased by a murderer. Like it's a threat. Both are a threat to your day and your nervous system, and it feels about the same. And so, all of these things like anxiety or depression or spinning out in your brain or sweating or lots of different things, those are all just symptoms of your nervous system alerting you that something is not feeling right. Okay. Control is actually self protection disguised as preparedness. So, if you're somebody who overthinks, micromanages, obsesses, replays combos in your head, plans outcomes, or tries to fix people all the time, that's really just your self protection, your nervous system trying to protect you, but making it seem like you're preparing, right? If I could just help fix this person, then everything will get better. If I could just plan how this is going to go, then I feel like I'm in control somehow. If you obsess over everything that could go wrong or could go right, that's you trying to protect yourself. You just don't think of it that way. Your nervous system is designed to believe that uncertainty is danger. We spin out, we demand answers, we overthink every scenario, we overplan, all in an attempt to regulate our nervous systems and calm it with the clarity that we hope is going to bring us peace. That's what we're constantly doing in these scenarios where you're feeling this way. But in reality, it's all an illusion, right? Control is an illusion. You can do everything right and still get hurt. And that is actually a great point and shoot moment for me is I have always felt that way about my life. When I was growing up, I felt like I did everything right. I was the good girl. I got the good grades. I went to church. I read my Bible. I brought friends to church. I got married and had the babies and worked from home and was loyal and committed and didn't cuss, didn't really drink. I was constantly pregnant, so how could I? Didn't drink, didn't do drugs. Like in my mind, I did everything right. I married my high school sweetheart. I raised my kids in church. I got them baptized. I did everything right. And to me, that was my way of controlling how my life was going to go. Like if I keep on this projection, I've got the right off into the sunset, sitting on the porch, drinking sweet tea and watching the sun go down with the love of my life and my grandkids playing in the yard outcome, right? Everything I was doing in my mind was preparing me for that ending. And then life happened. And I didn't get that. Not to say I won't have it, but not in the way that I planned. But that's the example of I planned it all in my head. My nervous system was like, girl, you're doing everything right. Like life is going to continue being good to you because you've been the good girl. You've done it right. And then things changed. It was an illusion. I was convincing myself that if I did it all right, then everything would go as planned. Really just being delusional that I have some control, some big amount of control over what life is going to hand me, right? And that's the thing that I think a lot of us have to realize, and nobody really wants to accept this. If you sit back and think about how little control we truly have over what happens to us in life, it's overwhelming. You really don't have any control over if you're going to wake up tomorrow, what happens when you step out on your front porch, if a meteor's going to hit you, if somebody's going to be drunk driving, if somebody's going to give you $1 million on the side of the road, if we want to think of good things. Like we really, if you walk in and get fired, I mean, we don't have control over so much that happens. If you want to go even bigger, we don't have control over if the sun's going to go out tomorrow, or we just don't. But if you live in that space of accepting that we have no control and you let it become like a threat where you're spinning out and you're overthinking it, that's anxiety. That's fooling yourself that there's anything you can do about any of that. True peace comes from accepting that you don't have control over these things and that no matter what, it is what it is, and that's okay. Just accept that you don't have the control, and then you'll start feeling like you are in control. So Seth Godin said, situations are things that can't be solved, and problems are things that have solutions. And so this is the part of the podcast where I start incorporating some stories from my life to hopefully relate with some of you listening in. I've been through a lot, and I'm about to talk about some things that I have not talked about. So I always debate it, and today I think is the day that I'm going to start sharing some of the things that, have happened that I realized in those moments how little control I have in my life. And the very first time, these are examples of situations. So things that I can't change, like things that happen that I have absolutely no control over. Situation. The first time I can truly remember not having any control, I was 23. Yeah, 23. And I had a miscarriage. And that experience truly did change me. It's the first time that I can really, really remember the anxiety. I can remember the uncertainty. I can remember feeling like there was something I could do. There was something I had to be able to do. I was convinced if I did everything right, I could save this baby. And then realizing and having to accept that I couldn't was devastating, because I was that person, like I mentioned earlier, who really thought that I was in control. I can change the outcome. I can fix this. I can make it better. I'm a fixer. I'm a people pleaser. I'm a doer. I'll get it done. I'll handle it. because there's no way that I could be the person who loses a baby. That was not on my life plan. That was not part of any scenario that I had played in my mind of my life, right? When I'm making the movie in my life, this was not on my bingo card. Yet here I am losing my baby. And I'll never forget it. I mean, I just had this overwhelming sense of there's nothing I can do. And every time I went to the bathroom and saw blood, it was just this constant reminder for weeks that I couldn't save my baby. And there was nothing I could do. I tried everything. I went to the doctor. I read forums. I put my feet up. I got progesterone inserts. I mean, I was that person who would not accept that this was going to happen. And I remember like 3 or 4 days into the bleeding, I had an event with my old company that I had planned at the library. It was an event a lot of people were going to come to. I was supposed to be a speaker at it and run the whole thing. And, it was like the day that I was actually like losing the baby. And I remember sitting there thinking, I could just not go. I mean, this is pretty rough. What's going on is pretty rough. And then I had this moment of, I can't control that I'm losing this baby, but I can control being in that room because maybe me being there could help somebody. Maybe me being there would make a difference for somebody. I can control if I show up to this meeting. I can control if I do my presentation to the best of my abilities, but I can't control what's going on inside of my body. And so in that moment, that was me seeking out a way to feel like I was in control of my life when it felt like everything else was spinning out. And that might seem like an intense example. And I do realize back then when I was in that business, it was kind of intense. But at the same time, I was there for a reason. I don't remember anymore what it was, but I remember sitting in the chair in the back after I had done my presentation and thinking, I'm glad I was here. And it took my mind off it for a minute, which helped ease the anxiety. But that was something I could control. And I couldn't control that I lost that baby. And so that's the first time I can really remember feeling this way. Another way that, I can relate to some of you is divorce. Divorce is a situation. It's not something you can change. I mean, realistically, I could change if I stayed in my marriage or if I didn't. Yes, that's a choice. However, what happened to cause the divorce was something that really, 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 how do I want to word this? That was something that really threw me for a loop. You want to talk about the overthinking, the overanalyzing, the spinning, the replaying conversations. I mean, there was no sense of control left in my body when I discovered what led to my divorce. I, in fact, didn't even feel like I was in control of my own body. I felt like nothing about me was mine. I felt like I actually have notes written on my phone because that's where I would kind of like journal, I guess, sometimes. And I forgot I did it. And you go back and read them and you're like, wow. But I remember writing in my phone that I feel like I have no control anymore. And I remember writing that I did everything right. Like this was like this inner voice of mine, like my inner monologue was always do everything right. You got to do it right. Just do it right. Just be good. Do it right. Be good. Do it right. Like every decision I make, everything I do is always do it right and be good. Like that's it. That's my inner voice, right? And when I discovered all these things, it was like I did everything right. I did it by the book. I loved wholeheartedly. I was committed. I was loyal. I was a good mom. I was a good wife. I was only with one man my whole life. I'd never been with anybody else. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I made money and supported my family. I did it right. And it didn't matter, which I know that it does. But in that moment, it was like, it didn't matter because here I am with this horrible thing happening to me that I have no control over. And then it came to realizing that going through the divorce I was always somebody who was very well liked and trusted and looked up to, I would say. I've always been super active on social media, sharing the messy, sharing my life, sharing my marriage, sharing my kids, like, but it was always to show people the real, like not the REEL, the highlight reel, but like the real and raw version of life, because I feel like we all get on social media and we feel like it's perfect and people have amazing lives and they're beautiful and they have all these things better than us and nothing's ever wrong, and it makes our lives feel less than. And so what I always wanted to do is show people, no, this is what it's really like having 4 kids. Do I have the days where we have the highlight reels? Hell yeah. But in reality, this is life. This is messy, right? But with my marriage and everything, most people looked at us as like this power couple and this fun loving couple, these middle school sweethearts with this amazing love story. And that's that's how I looked at us too. Even on the days where I wanted to kill him, like I looked at it that way. And it was my sunset drinking sweet tea on the porch, right? But I remember when I had announced that we were separated, another thing I realized I couldn't control is how people viewed it and how they viewed me. And I felt like I had no control over what I could share. I felt like I had no control over how I would normally use my social media to post pieces of my life, the messy, the good, the bad, all of it. I felt like I couldn't be honest anymore. I felt like my voice was taken away. I felt like I couldn't control what was going on with my kids, what was going on inside of me, what was going on with people reaching out. I mean, there was no control left in my life, I felt, when I went through my divorce. And then I started getting the hate messages when I shared that I was getting divorced, and people started telling me my whole marriage was a sham and shame on me. And I had other people reaching out because we never shared what happened. And I likely won't, because I will never put anything on this that's going to hurt my kids. And I won't do it. And so a lot of people always wonder, you've always shared everything. Why don't you share this? And I think that made me look like the villain. And I had people reaching out to me, assuming I was. And I have no problem saying anything like, I'm not the reason the marriage ended. Like, I'm not going to take accountability for that. We all play our parts, but what happened to end it was not my fault. And it took me a long time to like really accept that too. But what I really had to accept is that I could no longer control people's perception of me. And if that meant falling on my sword and letting people think I was the reason the marriage ended, then I would. And if that meant I was the villain in people's story, then I would be the villain, because to me that was protecting my kids and protecting the father of my kids, because hurting him hurts them. And so that was really big for me, because I've always been the person I feel like most people like. And I think that's a form of control too. I don't like looking at it that way, but with psychology, people pleasing is a form of making sure people like you. It's trying to control their perception of you. And I've really let that go too, which it still comes out like we talked about last week. There's these little versions of me. She still exists in there, the people pleaser and the one who wants to do everything right and be good and all of that. But they all have their place. But I think really just letting go of, I can't control if people like me. I can't control if people have a narrative that is untrue. I can't control if people want me to be the villain. I had to let go. And even things like realizing throughout the divorce, I can't control what happens at their dad's house. I can't control what they eat. I can't control if they go to bed on time. I can't control if they bathe or brush their teeth. I can't control if they can hang out with friends or not. I can't control any of it. When they're there, I have no control. And that was hard too, because those are my babies. Those are the most precious, important people in my whole life. And half of their life was taken from me, and I have no control over it anymore. And all of these things just start stacking up to where you just have to start accepting so much can happen in life that there's nothing I can do about the situation. I can only control how I handle the situation. And so, I chose to handle the divorce as gracefully as I could. I chose to let people think what they wanted. And, the control part with the kids, I think I overcompensated, for the things I felt they were lacking when they weren't with me. I think I overcompensate as a form of control when they are with me, which is what it is. But the same thing with breakups. If you're going through a breakup, you can't control if somebody says, I don't want to do this anymore. You can't control the outcome of what's coming, right? Like divorces and breakups, when somebody wants to end things, you think if I beg, if I love them harder, if I do more, if I lose the weight, if I put on more makeup, if I get involved in a sport they like, if I start watching TV that they want to watch, maybe they'll change their mind. Maybe if I perform more, they'll love me. And you start coming up with all these things that you think you could do better to make them choose you. But in the end, you have to realize you can't control their choice. You can't control their feelings. You are you, they are them. If they don't want to be with you anymore or you don't want to be with them anymore, there's no control. It's letting go of that control that's going to bring you the peace, right? It hurts, but you have to realize it's not up to you at certain points. Things aren't always up to you. Moving forward, single mom life, having to go back to work. I couldn't control that either. Like finally realizing I didn't have it in me to run my businesses anymore. I was deflated. I was defeated. I was down. I just had to go back and get a job for the first time. That's a situation. I could control where I worked and, what I wanted to do, but at the same time, only so much because I didn't go to college. I didn't get any degrees. I did direct sales and had my little boutique and was a photographer, and there's all these things I could have done, but it was a situation that, okay, now I really need to go figure out what I'm going to do with my life. Being a single mom, I can't control that I'm a single mom. I mean, I can if I want to go find somebody and get married and whatever, but that's all what I do have control over, right? I have control over if I choose to let someone else into my life and all that. But next really big time that I realized I have no control is when my dad got his brain tumor. That one was rough on the whole family. And I think especially him, which he will do a podcast with me one day about it. I just don't know when, but that one will be really good. But when we found out my dad had a brain tumor, the strongest man I've ever known in my life, the rock of our family, has now got this news that from the time we found out about it to 2 weeks later, he was getting it removed. We had no time to process, no time to do anything. Like all of this was completely out of our control and out of his control. And we had to put it into the control, like the hands of the doctors to be in control to help him and hopefully fix it, right? But even then, it's like with the brain, when you remove something, you don't know what's going to happen when they wake up. And when he woke up, there was a lot of things they did not prepare us for that happened. And letting go of the control that there was nothing we could do but love him through it. There's nothing you can do. It's just a circumstance in life. And you can let it destroy you too. You can let it break you. You can let it bring you to your knees. But at the end of the day, that doesn't solve it. That doesn't fix anything. So what can we do? We can control showing up for him when he needs us. We can control being there for him with his physical therapy and everything. We can control being strong for him when he's been strong for us our whole lives. There's so much that we can control, but what happened to him, we had no control over. Dating is, for me, been a chapter of my life that I really, really, really realized a lot of things about myself and the world and people and evil and trusting people and being gullible, and it's not been great. And I will say that it has really taught me that I can't control what people will do to me, but I can control not letting myself be in those situations again. And want to make sure I say all this right because this is one that I was like replaying in my head, trying to make sure I say it right. But at the same time, I just need to point and shoot and go for it. So throughout my single life, um, I've had things happen to me. I've been sexually assaulted. I've been raped. I've been drugged. I've been ghosted. I've had a lot of really poor experiences um in the dating world. And situations like rape and sexual assault and being drugged, those are things that really they really knock you back. They really, no matter how mentally tough you are and like I don't even know the words I'm trying to come up with. Like, you do the work, you're strong, you're independent. Things like that can really spin you back for a minute and make you question, did I ask for it? Did I cause it? Like making maybe this is the same thing. It's like reverse control. Like, I don't know, but accepting that I could only control myself. In those moments, I can't control what they're going to do, right? And even in those moments, I think it's realizing that you really don't have any control. So even controlling myself, that's not true. I couldn't even control myself in those moments. Um, but you really learn a lot about yourself and how you're going to come out of those things. And like, this has shut my brain off a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about this topic, but things like that can make you realize very quickly how little control you have over yourself. And I think that can really be defeating because for me, those scenarios didn't just make me feel out of control, they made me lose all the trust and faith that I had in myself. Um, like I can't trust myself when dating. I can't trust myself to be alone with a man. I can't trust myself to make right decisions in the moment. I can't trust myself. I mean, it really came down to I taught myself through dating I am not to be trusted. That's what my nervous system took out of all of these situations because unfortunately things have happened more than once that yeah. It also taught me not to trust others as much as I always have my whole life because I have always been the girl who believes the best in everybody and trusts what people tell me. And, the girl, again, just like with the miscarriage thing, who thought this could never happen to me. And then it does. And when things happen enough times, there's a couple different ways you can process it. One, you let it break you, you become a victim to it, and you just keep repeating the pattern. You just keep on finding these people and putting yourself in the situations. And, not to say any of it's my fault, but I played the part of being alone with people. I played the part of thinking, oh, it's okay if I go to their apartment. I played the part of trusting them when they had not earned that trust yet. I will not take responsibility or ownership of what they chose to do to me because that was up to them and I had no say, nor did I ever expect that to be a possibility. But, it's realizing in those situations, I can't control what they do to me, but I can control not letting myself be in the position where it can happen again. And by that, I mean, I now have a rule if I ever date again, which I'm on a break for the foreseeable future right now. But if I ever date again, I will not go to their place on the first, second, third date. I will not bring them to mine. They will not know where I live. I will not take any drinks or things from them that I don't know anything about, just assuming that it's what I asked for. Like just to be transparent, when I got drugged, I asked the guy for a Tylenol because I had a headache and he gave me something else and I didn't question it. I just thought it was a Tylenol and it wasn't. And, you know, so it's like realizing that I can't control what they do, but I can control not letting those, like the things that have got me there. I can also control breaking that pattern. I can control when I see a red flag to know I've done this before and I'm not doing it again. I can control, you know, drinking if I'm going to drink on a date or whatever, which isn't common, but I can control not letting myself be out of control when I'm with people that I'm not safe and comfortable with yet. There's all these little things you got to look at. Like, you can't control what happens to you, no, but you can control leading up to it. Like, if you stop and think about it, I started realizing I had a pattern. I had a part, right? And it was trusting. It was just trusting that these people had good intentions. It was trusting that I could go to their apartment and be fine. It was trusting that I could go to their house and nothing bad would happen. It was it was all these things that I'm now realizing, okay, that's something I can control, right? So those kinds of things, you don't have control over what people are going to do to you sometimes either. And feeling out of control of your body is something that is so hard to explain. But I will say that on the solution ends of things for this, I tried dating. I had some bad experience. I had a couple good experiences too. Like, it wasn't all bad, but like I just realized when I did that podcast about the most important promise you'll ever keep, again, my favorite podcast I've ever done. And I had the realization of all the things I do to prove to my nervous system I can't be trusted, including not working out when I promise myself I'm gonna, not eating clean when I promise myself I'm gonna, doing these things was just constantly confirming to these neural pathways in my body, my nervous system, that I can't trust myself. And it was the same with men. The working out and the eating clean for the last 18, actually probably like 6 months, but trainer for 18 weeks, like, it's leaking into every area of my life. I am now making decisions on my own because I've realized I can trust myself. And it's because I haven't let myself down at all. And in the moments that I do have to waver, I make it up to myself, right? Like, if I'm supposed to work out on a Sunday, like today, I might not make it to the gym. So I'm like, it's okay, we'll do it tomorrow. Like, it's just knowing, like, I trust myself that I'm not just going to not do it. It just might have to be pushed back because life happens, and that's grace, right? But I have realized that when you start being in control of the things that you can be in control of, that builds trust in your nervous system, and that leaks into every area of your life. You'll become more confident. You'll become more clear. You'll make decisions easier. You won't question yourself. It's crazy. And yeah, so those situations are things you can't change but have to accept. And now let's go into problems, right? We're doing situations, which are things you can't change and have to accept, and problems, which are things that have solutions, whether you want to do it or not. There is a way to fix it. You just have to decide to do it. Being overweight, that's a problem, right? And I say it with love, whoever's listening. I've been overweight. I've gotten up to almost 200 pounds, not pregnant. And then after having babies, you kind of let yourself go sometimes. Like, I've done it multiple times. But it is a choice. It is a choice. I can't control if it rains today. I can't control, if I get in a car accident. I can't control whatever else. But you know what I can control? What food I put in my mouth. I can control whatever food I buy at the grocery store. I can control if I cook. I can control if I don't. I have 100% agency over what I am eating, and so do you. It might not feel like it every day, but you do. I have complete control over if I make it to the gym. I have control over if I wake up at 4 a.m. because the rest of my day is too busy. I have control over if I have to go at midnight. I have control over squeezing it on a lunch break. I have control over exercise. I have control over if I want to take my sunset walk for 2 hours or if I want to go have dinner and drink on a Friday night instead. I have control over that. No one else does. That's a problem I can solve. And so when it's being unhealthy, being overweight, not having the body you want, you do have control over that problem. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy to fix, but it means there is a solution. You just have to choose to do it. You don't like your job. Okay, what do you want to do? You might not be able to change this one immediately, just like you can't change being overweight immediately. But if you don't like your job, you're a human. You can start a business. You can work somewhere else. You can do a side hustle. You can have a passion project that kind of outweighs if you don't like your job. You can go get a new degree if you want. I saw a lady that graduated, the oldest ever woman to graduate from medical school at 72 years old. She decided she wanted to go be a doctor in her 60s. Why not? Right? You can control that. Like, life is not short, life is long. And you can fit a lot of yous into that life, like we talked about last week. You don't like your job? Do something about it. You're not making enough money? Okay, well, how can you make some side income? You don't have enough time in your day? Okay, well, why don't you sit down and figure out that you actually do? Because we all have the same amount of time in the day. You look at me, I I looked at myself as a victim for a long time, which you're only a victim if you choose to be. You get the choice of if you're a victim to life or a victor to life. And my dad and his brain tumor are an amazing example to that. He could have let that break him. He could have just stayed basically paralyzed. He could have just gone in a wheelchair and given up. That man fights every day to get back to the best version of himself that he was before his brain surgery, right? He chooses to be a victor, not a victim. And some days I know he does not want to be a victor. He just wants to be a victim to the card that life dealt him, right? When I became a single mom, some days, even still, I'll have my victim days. I'll have my 5-minute pity parties. I'll do my little sad girl spirals where I'm like, it's so hard. I have to do everything. Like it's work, it's doctor's appointments, it's camps, it's making sure they get their haircuts and brush their teeth in sports and doing my own stuff and working out and whatever. And that's the thing is for the longest time, I was like, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have the brain space to weigh out my food and do the macros. And guess what? Once I changed my mindset and reframed it, I realized I do have the time. I just have to make it a priority and stop treating it like it's a choice. Because if you treat things like a choice, it gives you an option. But if you treat things that are important to you like you have to do them, but also being so grateful that you can, instead of being like, oh, I have to do this. I'm so grateful that I can go to the gym now. I'm so grateful that I enjoy the 4 same meals I've been eating every day for like 8 weeks. Like, it's all mindset. You have control over what you think about it too. Every time you have that, and we had this in my podcast, Becoming a Professional Thought Flipper. Every time the one comes in like, oh my God, I don't want to eat avocado again. Stop it. Go away. Oh my God, I'm so glad that I can finally eat avocado. I used to hate it, but now I've really grown to like my avocado. Like, food is fuel. I don't need it to taste good. Let's go. Like, flip, get out, right? You have control over your thoughts. It just takes the intentional effort. When you feel the shitty ones coming in, bye. Back to our normally positive mindset programming. Here we go, right? Your brain is wired to be negative. You have to put the effort in to be positive, right? If you're tired, there's ways to fix being tired. Go to bed earlier. Go to bed earlier. Drink an energy drink. Take a walk. Be in the sun. Put your feet in the grass. Like, take a 15-minute nap. You're tired? Okay. Everyone's tired. Do something about it. Don't let it control your life. Again, you're only a victim if you want to be. I would encourage you all to change your mindset from, I know what's going to happen and I'm going to try to control it, to I'm okay no matter what happens. That is what you have to change in your mind. Realizing that trying to control everything is what's causing you to feel so out of control. It's an illusion. It's not real. If you can tell yourself, I am okay no matter what happens, that is true peace. The way to let go of control is to truly accept that sometimes you do not have any. That's it. The way to let go of control is to truly accept that sometimes you don't have any. And here's what I want to say, and this has been a realization for me the last few weeks. I have been working for years, which I truly believe after any traumatic experience, it does take like 2 to 4 years to kind of snap back into the normal mindset, to get through the anxiety, to get through the pain, to get through all of it. There is some things about especially traumatic experiences you can't really control. I can't control when I get my little PTSD moments. I really can't. I can't control sometimes when the spirals happen. I just have to try to let them go, like flow through me, sit with them, and work through what's going on in my brain mentally, which is what you need to do too. But there are some things like in your brain in the moment you can't control them showing up. You can't control triggers. They don't make sense. They're not logical. They just show up uninvited, like vampires, right? You know, whatever. I don't know why I said that. We're going to keep rolling. But after you get through the healing of your brain, that phase that it takes to start really getting through that time frame, like the waiting period of healing your brain from a traumatic experience. Things like waiting, uncertainty, stillness, trusting your own decisions, peace. Peace can actually feel like chaos to your nervous system when you are so used to feeling chaotic. When life has been anxiety ridden and chaotic and stressful and like you're always scanning for threats, that can feel normal. That's normal to you. But when you truly start working on letting go, that you don't have control over everything in life, letting go that you can't always predict the outcome, and sitting with the fact that whatever's going to be will be. Whether you think about it for 17 hours straight or not, what's going to happen is going to be what happens. You're going to start finding peace. But it's not going to feel like peace at first. It's going to feel like chaos. It can feel chaotic and cause anxiety because your nervous system associates all of these feelings with loss of control. There's a psychological concept that says pain comes from resisting reality. But pain is unavoidable. Acceptance isn't liking your reality. It's just stopping the mental battles that are happening at all times, right? Like that's what acceptance is. You don't have to like what's happening. You don't have to like that you don't have control over the situation. But if you can stop these mental battles from happening, that's where you're going to find peace. Some things to help you reframe, right? Like this is what I do all the time. Like even this week, I've had some things going on that I've realized like I have this outcome in my head of how I want something to go. And years ago, it would have destroyed me knowing that I'm not in control of getting this outcome. But this week, I have just kept reminding myself what will be, will be. And if it's mine, it will always come back. If it's meant to be, it's going to come back and find me. But I have no control over where things go from here. I just don't. It's not like in this specific scenario, it's not my choice. It's not my decision. I don't have a say. And that's the thing is I've learned to just be okay with that. I'm okay, right? So here's some reframe things that I like to say that could help you too, depending on the scenario. I will be okay no matter what because I trust that I can handle whatever comes next. That's how you reframe control. It's not if I just blank, then everything's going to be okay. That's you trying to control a situation. It's not that. It's telling yourself, I will be okay no matter what because I trust that I can handle whatever comes next. That's how you build trust with yourself too and start getting rid of the self-doubt, right? Because getting rid of the need to control leads to self-trust. One of my favorites that I say all the time now is I was okay before them or this. I was okay with them or this, and I will be okay after them or this. This can apply to jobs. This can apply to relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, anything. I mean, I was okay before I met my husband. I was okay when I was with my husband, and I'm okay after my husband. It's not the most ideal situation in the world, but I'm okay, and I always will be. I was okay Before this thing happened at work, I was okay going through this thing that happened at work, and I'll be okay after this thing happened at work. Same with your job. I was okay when I had this job, before I had this job, when I had this job, and if I lose this job, I'm still going to be okay. You just have to reframe it. Worst case scenario, nothing changes is another one of my favorites. If you confess your love for somebody and they don't love you back, hey, guess what? Your life is the same as it was before you confessed your love to them. Nothing changed. Now, if they confessed it back, things would change because now you'd have this person in your life and things would change. But before you confess your love, your life didn't change. You just don't have that person like you wanted it to, but nothing changed. Just go back to your regularly scheduled program, right? Worst case scenario, nothing changes. Starting a business. If it doesn't work out, nothing changes. You're exactly where you are. Really anything in life. Not going to the gym, you don't go, nothing changes. That's your worst case scenario, right? I can't control what they say or do, but I can control what I do with it. I can't control the things that have happened to me. I can't. I can only control what I do with it. And what I choose to do with it is this. I take these shitty, awful things and good things, but I take these things that have happened and I reframe them into, I can't control that happened to me, but I know there's other people out there who this has happened to. And so what I'm going to do to control it is give this gift back to them, however they choose to receive it. Give it to them to hopefully help them through it too. I can give my experience to people who have gone through it, are going through it, or might go through it in the future to hopefully help them, or hopefully help them not feel alone or misunderstood or invalidated. And that's one other thing I didn't say is you can't control how people receive what you give. And that is something that I always repeat to myself too. I can't control how people receive what I give. If I give my workout progress photos on Instagram, I can't control if people take that as a thirst trap. And I don't care if they do, because that's not why I'm posting it. I'm posting it to inspire people and show people, hey, I'm a single mom of 4 who's busy as fuck. And look at what I'm doing. You can do it too. I'm showing people, hey, just because you've had babies, it doesn't mean that you can't get your body back better than before you had them. I'm trying to show people you are in control of your body. Okay. I can't control if men receive that as, oh God, she's posting pictures of her progress. Like she's thirsty, right? You can't control how people receive what you give. If I give someone a compliment, I can't control how they take it. If I wave at somebody or don't wave at somebody, I can't control how they take it. Okay. I can't control how people receive what I give. I can control how I receive what people give me though, right? Another one. Some will, some won't. Who cares? What's next? This one I would always say when I was in sales. Some will want what I have to share. Some won't want what I have to share. Who cares? What's next? Right? Like taking out the fear of somebody telling you no. I don't want what you're selling. I don't want to listen to your podcast. I don't want to work out. I don't want to hang out with you. Whatever. Okay. Some will, some won't. Who cares? What's next? Move on. You can't control it. Don't let it sit in your brain. Bye. And finally, I trust myself to make decisions because there are no right or wrong decision. There's my decision. And if I can handle whatever comes next, that's all that matters. I'm going to say it one more time. I trust myself to make decisions because there are no right or wrong decisions. There's my decision. And if I can handle whatever comes next, that is all that matters. I say that to myself all the time because I've had such a hard time my whole life being a decision maker. And we'll do this on a different podcast. But my dad always says the road is full of flattened squirrels who couldn't decide if they wanted to run or run left. Or run right or run left. The world is full of flattened squirrels who couldn't decide if they should run right or run left. That's how you say it, right? And I think about that all the time. I don't want to be a flattened squirrel. I want to be decisive. I want to know which way I'm going, right? I don't want to be flat in the middle of the road because I couldn't make up my mind. And, decision paralysis is really real. And we'll do another podcast on all of it. But I will say that for me, anxiety and being in control comes in the form of trying to figure out all the outcomes to decisions I make. Like, if I do this, what are all the worst things that can happen? And what are all the best things that can happen? And then I sit there and I think and I think and I think and I think. And then so much time passes that I just don't do anything, right? Because I couldn't figure out which scenario is actually going to happen and I'm not in control of it. So if I just do nothing, nothing changes. That little one, worst case scenario, nothing changes, can actually be a safety net that holds you back too. And that is one that does do that to me sometimes. Sometimes it catalysts me. And sometimes it's like, hey, this is your safety net. If you don't do anything, nothing changes, right? So, all that to say, trusting yourself to make a decision is knowing, it's not knowing if it's right or wrong. Because a lot of the times there's morally right and wrong decisions, right? But like in other decisions, there's no right or wrong decision. It's your decision. And if you can handle the things that come next without breaking down or letting it destroy you, then that's all that matters. Just make the decision and run with it. So final thought here is, the irony is that letting go of control is sometimes the only way to finally feel in control. And if you can do that, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's the constant rewiring of your brain with all these little isms and phrases that I repeat to myself all the time. When I catch myself trying to control something, I'm like, it's okay. You were okay before, you were okay with, and you're okay after. Okay. And then I move on. And then it's I can't control what they decide, but I can control what I do with it. And what I'm going to do with it is keep focusing on myself and living my life and not letting it control and dictate how my days go and how my mind goes, and getting stuck in that spin and spiral of what are they thinking? What are they going to do? What are they going to choose? Do they love me? Do they not? Blah, 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 whatever it might be. It's just, I don't have control over that. So I'm going to go back to what I do have control over. I have control over my life, my decisions, my world as much as I can. So that's all I have for you today. If this resonated with you, please share with somebody that you think it could resonate with as well. And as always, thanks for listening in. I can't wait to see where this goes. Bye.